versus Ploughing Clear. 5-1 up the Newmarket Hill. Keep going, Buick. Oh God, he's going to get caught. Where's the post? Where's the post?
And a very good evening, everyone. It's the Bar Stewards Inquiry. Yes, we're back. It's Guineas weekend, the official crowning of the flat season starting. It started for us a little while ago, but I know a few of you stick munchers are still watching Punchestown, etc. But surely now you're diverting your attention to the proper stuff. First classics of the year, and I've assembled the finest team to talk us through Saturday and Sunday, maybe even some Friday action. So without further ado, it is, of course, Lee Keys, John Leng, Nick Davis. How are we, chaps?
Raw.
Exactly. This is where the season starts. So, as always, we're going to take you through our three best for the weekend, and then we'll cover some TV races at Newmarket on Saturday and Sunday. Who's going to kick us off? Let's go with Nick Davis. What have you got for us?
Well, the best race of the weekend takes place at Thirst. Got 2:35 on
I
Saturday.
thought it might. Good old James Sanderson.
That's our 10.1 friend. We've got the Thirst Cunt Cup there.
Say that again, Nick.
Say it again.
Thirst Cunt Cup. That was very good, wasn't it? I wasn't a pheasant plucker, as they say.
Yeah.
Top of the market. Obelix probably might need a mad gallop, but you might get one here. Our Havana, the jury's out. Does he stay a mile? He was rode into a headwind, it didn't give him any chance, and he followed up with a win at Musselburgh. Ossinall's got a bit of a choice here. He's drawn two. Does he send him forward from there? We don't know. But Northern Express Handicap, Crichton will go forward. Is he just a red car horse nowadays? Now, here's where my one, I think Lee knows where I'm going here, although he's called it Cunty.
Yeah.
I'm going with Mr. King. I thought got a float up last time. A mile on fast ground seems very fine. Their last cracking race came over the top and only just felt to catch the end of boarding one. HQ, he was the wrong side in the Cambridgeshire. Would give us a very good run for our money. But he was ridden to really try to keep up with the other side before fading. Back on fast ground, drawn around about 6. I'm hoping he comes wide and late all over them. Ran 14-1 with Denise if you get it. Otherwise, I think 10-1 is so. I think you might even get bigger on the day.
You love a great shit house, Nick.
Yeah, I love a shit house, yeah.
Yeah, Connor Beeswax on that.
He's a multiple Group 1 and winning jockey out in Saudi and whatnot. So
exactly how many groups?
Friend of the show or foe of the show, Mr. King these days, but 88 could be a nice mark for him, Nick. So I like that selection. Always good to get one in the Thirsk Hunt Cup, as they say. Very good stuff. Right, who's next? Let's go with Mr. Lee Keys.
Well, as per our soundtrack tonight, which gets brought back once a year, of course.
Where's the post?
Yes, I thought I'd go on the style of that. Three sort of relatively, well, maybe not too obvious, but is sort of price range. The first one goes in the 145 at Newmarket, and it's the Shirts More Thunder. 7-2. I think here is what shall we say? I think it's a half decent price, because if you watch the video back of this, and it was ridiculously strong through the line, and everyone's saying next time out 7, perfect for it. £95 does not show the superiority that showed that day. But I know we're back at 6, and I know it's going to be quicker ground than what it was that day. But the pace here is ballistic. So I think, and he's around the pace as well. He's drawn with the horses that will go forwards. £5 is absolutely nothing for what he did that day. And I just think he wins. I'd have him bottled 2-1 Fav, 7-2 a pleasure if you can get it. I think there might have been 4-1 knocking about, but by the time listeners listen, I think probably 7-2 might be your price.
Very good. Officially £3 well in, isn't he, with the penalty? So completely agree. Very impressive last time out. I was there saying, what is the Shirt doing dropping this in trip? The Baron said this was a 10 furlong horse, but what do I know? Of course, as is always the case. So I can completely concur with that one, Lee. Very good stuff. I shall kick us off next before we go to Jonas, because I know everyone loves his more than anyone else's. We're kicking things off in the 2:20 tomorrow at Newmarket, so a nice and early one. And despite my acclamation for Cosmic Year, who I've spoken well about on this podcast before, I'm taking him on tomorrow. I think reasons being, I just find the prep very odd. He down as a Guineas horse. Then Charlton said, "Oh, I'm concerned about the quick ground at Newmarket for him." Well, what are they doing tomorrow? They're running him on quick ground at Newmarket. So I'm negative on that. And I think having seen more of his head carriage, he's got that kind of typical gawky Kingman head carriage. I'm not sure how quick ground with the dip at Newmarket is going to suit him. So I think he'd be a very nice horse later in the year, probably somewhere like Ascot. But I'm going to take a chance on one tomorrow, and it's with the Harry Eustace Labot, who was a very impressive winner, and albeit a very lowly race at Newcastle, very strong on the clock that day. I think he possibly won too well, really, because Harry is kind of the type to sort of keep these back for kind of your bigger handicaps, your Britannias, etc. But he'd have probably been given a mark in the low 90s for that. And the fact they come here is really against the sort of modus operandi of the trainer. So I've got to take that as a positive. And I think if there's one in here who's got a lot more to come other than the favourite, it's probably this horse. I think looking at Symbol of Honour, I think I have that down as a sprinter myself. Diego Ventura's not had a run this year. Chancellor, I think attitude problem central. So at a double figure price, I think this is a very much a sporting bet. And whilst he might not beat the favourite, I think he'll certainly run him close. So at sort of the 12-1 mark, it's a win only bet for me because that's how I play. But if you want to kind of mess around with some forecasts with the Fav, then certainly go for it. But yeah, quietly confident on this one. So Labot for me in the 2:20. Jonas Lang, what have you got for us?
Estonian water polo.
Yeah, 16-fold Scottish League Two Saturday
It is.
ACCA.
He's got something special, I know he has.
It's not quite that. 235 Goodwood Friday. Tatterstall. This should get the biggest softie of the week in this race.
Ooh.
There's absolutely no rivals in this race for pace. It's a 5-furlong race. It's one of the fastest drives in the country. By the time the rest of them get their asses into gear, this race will be over and done with. 7-1 fill your boots.
Very confident selection indeed. No, I certainly like that. And with Dodsey these days, I see who.
Just coming into form. He's a bit later than usual. Held up along.
John's bailing at twos, aren't you, John? Twos.
Yeah, something like that. Maybe 2.1. Get out at 3.1 and just make sure them that getting out at twos don't bite me to the punch. But yeah, it's one off a break before. I've just got no concerns at all with this.
Completely agree. I think you got kind of Shagran's like one that likes a lead, and I do like the Channon horse in there as well. But she's another that held up. It's not going to be her track, so can certainly see that, John. It's one for your trading merchants who listens.
Nice little BTL.
Exactly. We all need one of those these days, given our form. Good stuff. Quickly on to the second round. John, I'm going to stick with you, please, if I may.
Well, in that case, I'll stick with the BTLs. 320 Musselburgh, Doomsday. Exactly the same reasoning. Should get an absolute killer solo over the easiest 7 in the country to make all. Just see no issues with this one either. You've got a lovely inside draw. Again, they're all going to be at it turning in. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy.
We're looking at 100 to 30 Denise, 3-1 with a couple of other firms, Entain and Co. Flutter even, sorry.
Yeah, I have to get out about 13 to 8 there.
I reckon John will be in at threes on for that.
Yeah.
You need a bit of adrenaline, don't you? You can have some.
No kilt horse in there to challenge you, so you should be fine, John.
Yeah, it's happy days, isn't it?
Ben Haslam, the JP retirement yard with a couple. I wouldn't worry about that.
Not at all.
Good stuff indeed. Well, look, we're bringing it from everywhere this weekend. We're up for it. So that's what we like to see. Nick Davis, what have you got for us as your second best?
I'm going to Saturday at Newmarket again. And we're going to one of my favourite races, the Suffolk Stakes. Start of the market. Hand of God and approval. Big absences. What do we know? You can make a case for both of them, but the absences make a thing. Dutch Decoy loves it here. Fox Legacy Trip. If you look back at Maidan on the Lord Glitters handicap, what's the Lord Glitters handicap? Arabian Lights is 7-2 favourite in here. You can tell me how Sean is 18-1 here when he's £5 better off, got him beaten half a length, and you watch the trip there. Arabian Light slips through, and Sean got a rather troubled trip. Now he's been to a couple of times since there. He's been given the Lincoln, but 18-1, you're meeting the 7-2 favourite on £5 better terms here. I've got to go a point each way on Sean.
We might well come back to that spoiler there, but I completely agree. I think I put Sean up on my musings, and that was a rancid beat, as you say, Nick. I think he was by far the best horse in that race. So no, I think that's sporting selection at the prices. Good stuff. I know you love a heritage handicap, so it's nice to see one coming from there. Excellent stuff. Right, Lee Keys, what about yourself? Second best, please.
Okay, it's off to Sunday because I'll just like winding everybody up by tipping fillies. Seriously, like 5 to follow pod. This was like in there.
Sixth.
I had to pull it out because I thought having 2 fillies out of 5 is bad form. It's bad form.
Agreed.
We've already got
So-
one killed so far, and one of mine's just been sold over the sticks, so it's not going overly
Yeah.
well, is it?
No,
No, we've had a few winners. I tell a lie.
we've had
I
Al
tell a lie.
Merritt. Obviously, it's a bit of misfortune, isn't it?
Yeah,
With
these things happen.
the old injuries. But anyway, so we go to the Pretty Polly on Sunday, the 145. Owen Burrows seems to be in on the act at the moment. He's got some fair old tackle lying about, shall we say. Stable girls might also that. Right, anyway.
What about his tackle?
Yeah.
Serious business. It won on debut at Wolverhampton, and it was the talk of the town.
It was. Even I got the message. That's when you know it's the talk of the town.
Yeah, I got told about this, and they said her work was triple figures. So, of course, she wins as she liked. A lovely, powerful sort physically, I felt. So I looked on John's notes for this horse because he said, still a wee bit on the leg. And John thought, and he's listed classed at least. So this was going to be my sort of maiden horse Group 1 winner. Of course, at 5-2, I'm going to say she's a bet in this race because if she can't win listed, then, she's not going to win Group 1, is she? So I like New Bays. New Bays have got a great strike rate as a sire so far. They've taken off straight away. Only thing that might find her out could be experience, but that can be said for 1 or 2 in here in this race. So I've got strong confidence that she'll probably start 7-4, 13-8, that sort of range. And if any 5-2's knocking about, she's a lovely bet to win the Pretty Polly. And of course, she's entering the Oaks and she's quoted at 25s. And if she wins that impressive, you ain't getting 25s for the Oaks either.
Indeed. That was my next question. Do you think a little bit on the Oaks is advised as well, just in case?
Only thing that concerns me with her is that I don't think she'd want soft ground. And as we know, he puts plenty on for Oaks Day, and so it doesn't ride too fast on Derby Day.
True.
The only sort of like negative I have for her in a race like that. Other than that, I think 25s otherwise would be a rather attractive bet, yes.
I completely concur with that. I think that's a very nice horse in the making. Good stuff, Lee. We better come back to me. I'm back to Friday again. It's the 255, the 1 mile handicap for the 3-year-olds. And I'm with the good friends of ours, the Horse Watchers horse here, Hornsey Bay. We certainly like this as a 2-year-old, won well on debut. Very unfortunate not to win second time up. I think Danny No Hope dropped the whip that day and just lost out in a finish to a Carl Burke horse who ran creditably enough in the field, and so I think the form has some substance. And from my sort of conversations with connections, they very much think this is a group horse in the making. So I'm quite interested to see this off a mark of 88 in a valuable enough handicap. I think it's one that they could be particularly interested in. I think last race you can really stripe, to be honest. It was one of those kind of trappy, small field maidens at Nottingham, no pace on. Ben Robinson was in the saddle. I mean, come on, it's not really that kind of day. So I'm excited to see him here in a mile handicap with a decent bit of pace on. And I don't think the top of the market's that hot. You've got Spectacular View on reappearance, who won on the all weather, but he's just kind of bringing winter all weather form. Brave Mission is probably the form selection, but nothing that strong that he's done either sort of on the clock and form wise. Best rate, we got beat in a handicap last time out at Kempton. I'm not concerned about that. So I think this is big at around he has been nibbled at, but we're looking at kind of 8-9 to 1 now. I think that's very, very reasonable for him. And as I said, if he becomes what connections think he will be, we're probably looking at a triple figure horse. And my opinion is that he might make up into a nice sort of Britannia type, and he probably wants to win one before then. So hoping that is tomorrow. So Hornsey Bay for me right. We've rattled through that one, chaps. We're on to our best bets. The lucky 15 round that we're gonna cop one day. I can feel it. I think we got 3 out of 4 before. Let's see if we can make it 4. Who are we gonna kick off with? Let's go, John then, please.
Righty ho. Friday, 2:55 race, Fort George. Last run behind Gunship. That might have looked a lot better had O'Shane not strangled that one earlier in the week.
Yeah, I'm still not over that one, unfortunately.
Yeah, he's been gelded and looks to have the potential to improve an awful lot of handicaps this one. And that would be my best.
No, I can certainly see that. I think form is strong, obviously up against Hornsey Bay, but there's nothing wrong with having 2 solid selections in the race, particularly when they're both at prices. So completely agree with that one, John. What about Nick Davis for your best please of the weekend?
I'm taking on Lee in the 145. While I respect More Thunder, this is a lot faster ground than you'll see at HQ last time. I agree with loads and loads of pace. I'm going with the North's hoping and Michael and David Easterby's Stanage.
John's favourite duo.
John is absolutely denouncing this bet. It's terrible. Flipping an Easterby or something, Nick. This is bad
At
form.
Newmarket, you get nosebleed down there.
Yeah.
They'll be able to about the Plowmans.
Yeah, if you watched this last time out, this has got absolutely no room at all. I don't think the drop to 6 will be a problem because it travels okay. Fast ground. But if you look at this by Kingman out of a mare that threw Calix and Coppice, both who loved that ground. It's going to get a gallop to aim at, and I don't think when they usually do that, unless they come back all at once, you can usually get a run through. It's when they sort of go slowly, get it, and then just drop back on you. I think this will get a run through. I think 14 to 1 is a big price here.
Nick, I have John's notes on every single. In fact, I have all these. You know,
So
you
do
do
I.
articles. I put them all in the notes. I like his 10th of September note. I just think he hates Mick. He goes, "It's a cunt, plain and simple. Want to put on the never ever list."
He has won since then, though.
Oh, I know. But yeah, it happens, doesn't it? But I just like it when he absolutely slates one. John, do you think Mick will be bathing Joe that night?
It would surprise me.
A winner at HQ, that calls for the kind of lush bath bombs and all sorts going on.
Might be jacuzzi job, yeah.
Yeah. Everyone's favourite duo for Nick Davis. Right. Third best, Lee Keys. What about yourself? And then I shall finish off the round.
Okay, well, it won't be Guineas weekend without having a bet in some type of Guineas, would it?
Ah, fuck that. No, we like that. We
This is
need
the pod
that.
of pods. We're advertising it as Guineas. All right, it's not sort of in the 2,000. Well, we'll come to that in a bit when we preview it. But
Sure.
it's in the 1,000 Guineas on Sunday, the 335 race. Jack, I've just done some deducing.
Yeah.
Now, Juddmonte have had some really, really, really good types this spring, as we know, and they're dominating the market in the 2,000. This was the reason why I'm siding with Red Letter here in the 1,000 Guineas. And I want to be a total wanker as well. I want to go each way.
Oh, a count closer.
Each way a pleasure. Because the fact that they've decided to run Shelter, which run a monster figure at Leopardstown in the Irish 1,000, and they're putting this in the... I think that's a positive. Gurr.
Oh, he never brings one over, does he? So
He brings them over, he just never wins.
Well, that's it. That's true. But this is the reasoning. Desert Flower even money. Bloggers on it, all over it. He's in bad form. He's had a bad punch.
we'll talk about that later. I might be as well, but there you go.
Yeah. Lake Victoria, as we've sort of said privately so far, hasn't had the smoothest of preparation. So that's why you're seeing the price you are. because whatever she does, she'll come on for it.
Mm.
So with that in mind, if everyone's saying, "Ooh, late Victoria, what a tremendous filly she is," well, this filly's unlucky to beat her on debut. She was short of room and should have probably beat her on debut. And last time out was beaten just a length and a half, and she was getting going again near the line. And if you watch the pull up at the Curragh, she was in front of them. No, that's exaggerating. She was in front of the second and third and level with late Victoria on the actual pull up. I think you're getting some value here because she's rated so lowly by time form, because obviously she hasn't gone on to win at the Breeders' Cup. She hasn't gone on to do this, that, and t'other. Red Letter here is underlooked. And the fact, like I said, they could have run Shelter in this, place where the Time Lords have been going, oh, Shelter, oh, big time, big time. I think 5-1 each way of pleasure is the absolute professionals, serious bet. 1.5 points each way. Thanks.
Very nice. Gurr would be maligned to send one here, wouldn't he, really? I think he'd rather race at home. So the fact he appears to be doing so has got to be a positive for the horse. So completely agree with that. And I think if there's any accounts left by Monday, that will be a positive for all. But we shall come back to that race. But I completely concur, certainly with your negative on Lake Victoria. Right, I'll finish off the round and I'm off to the 220, the Suffolk. I am taking on my good friend Nick Davis, and in the spirit of the theme tune of this podcast, I am going a bit blogger here, and it's Hand of God for me. Look, 2 for 2 last year, won the Esher Cup or the Esher. Is it Esher or Esher, John?
Nisha.
A Vernon.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Esher. Won the Esher Cup last year on reappearance and then went on to win the Golden Gates. And I know he's been off a considerable amount of time, and I'm personally don't know why. But the fact he won on reappearance last year gives me the hope that I think he goes well fresh. He's up £11 for that Golden Gates win, and whilst the form hasn't really worked out, if I'm being frank, I thought he won that considerably cosy. I thought he hit the front a little bit too soon, but was always in charge. And the thing I like about this horse, he made all in the Esher Cup and then was dropped right out in the Golden Gates and won both times. So he's a versatile horse who can do very well. He's been gelded over the winter. I think this is the last time that you'll see this horse in handicap company, personally. And I think a mark of 102 is very much defiable, particularly when Arabian Light, and I'm going to make the same point as Nick here, Maidan form when very fortunate to win last time out, I think is piss poor. And that is a very weak favourite at the top of the market, in my opinion. I'd be very keen to take him on. And I'd be probably 9-4 about Hand of God, maybe even 2-1, and I think he'll go off well back. So I think 7-2 in a couple of places. Anything up to sort of 11-4 marks as a very strong bet for me. We'll probably talk about where we think sort of draw biases might be on Saturday and Sunday. He's drawn in trap 1. That versatility around kind of racing style gives me encouragement, and I think this is a very good horse. And as I said, I think we'll be seeing him in group company next time out. So a confident selection for me on Hand of God, an ode to Diego Maradona, of course, and let's hope we get one over the line.
Lovely.
Yeah,
I like your reasoning and everything. I mean, just because it's fav doesn't necessarily mean that
there's
it's not
nothing wrong with a
value.
Favli, as we know.
Yes.
Jack, what would you say if they run the Esher Cup at Bath?
I would call it the Esher Cup at Bath, maybe. I don't know. I'm a Bath man, as we know, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Middle class and all that. No outside toilets down here.
The dearest taxis in creation.
Yeah, you got a real
Bath.
beef with those, Nick. Yeah, fair enough. They did stiff you. So before we get on to Saturday, anything tomorrow that anyone wants to cover off? I know we've had a few selections there.
Cosmic Years race,
Mm.
the King Charles doings. The price has gone a little bit, but I'm still interested in this. La Botte of
Wow,
Harry Eustace's.
that was my selection. If you were listening, John.
Yeah,
They were asleep.
Tipping point was on.
Yeah.
No, I'm only joking.
I just want to give you another nudge. You got to go along with Jack.
Mm.
I think it's right good value, even at like 9-1. I think it is now.
Just drifted a touch. You can get 14s with Denise who's selling up. You
Even
might as
better.
well get what you can out
Even
of her.
better. Yeah.
La
Mm.
Botte.
Good to have some confidence there. I think it's a good bet in my opinion.
Anything on Friday for me? Right, first race, 2-year-old. No, 145. Don't mind, Jack. You might come on to this in a minute when you get your say, because I know what you like in this. Just to mention for oral with the
Yeah, we all like a bit of oral.
we do with the hood on as well. It's like they put the hood on for some femdom.
Apple clean.
Anyway, this beat Bedouin Prince on debut and had no right to do so. This is one for the Time Lords. That's why they're nibbling it now. Massive sectional upgrade. You could be looking at a triple figure horse here. And of course, what have they done? They've stuck it in the Dante, the Derby, the Irish Derby. They're not mucking about here. And it wasn't supposed to win last year, I don't think, given pedigree trip. To win at a mile at Kempton off the pace, you're doing quite well. He did it, and now it's 10 furlongs, and there could be limitless amount of improvement from that one, especially when Beckett wins with a colt first time. A lot of his colts need the run on debut, the fillies don't. So that was my angle into that. 220 Cosmic Year, I think it's just running here because they've told Harry Charlton to fuck off. We're running Field of Gold, and that's it, and you can run here. I genuinely actually believe that. I agree with everything what's been said so far without Jack and John. Went up the hill to fetch a pail of water. On Fort George and, of course, Hornsey Bay. I agree with all that. So I've got no problem with that. 3:30.
Just on the 3:30, just a novelty point. Can we just take a bit of honour in the fact that the Betfred Nifty 50 handicap, the favourite for the race, is 50 Nifty? Isn't that?
And that's your coincidence betters. They're all out there.
Thanks, Tom.
That'll be 2 points short. Lay it.
Yeah, your Marys that go to bingo and said, "Oh, have you seen that? Oh, Betfred Nifty 50 and 50 Nifty's fab. We should have 50 on it."
Get it, Pete.
Absolutely. Yeah, well spotted. No, that's me done.
Like that, Lee. I think 145 that you mentioned, one I like is Nebras. Won very well on debut. They chucked it into the futurity. I think just all came too soon for it, in fairness. Beat last time out, which I think is putting punters off, and that's why you're getting a price. But they crawled at Southall, 109% finishing speed, beating on a bit of a head bob at the end. I think this will improve for the trip. John has a very negative on Ernest Blofeld, don't you? I remember seeing a note from you on him along the lines of this could be a cunt or is a cunt or something. Your sort of poetic speak there.
Yeah, really some kind of cunt.
Yeah.
Just imagine if John wrote racehorses. It'd be cunts of 2023, cunts of 20.
It would actually. In fact, you give me a business idea then to put
Yeah,
all
that'd
John's
sell.
like weekly notes into a yearly yearbook.
I think that'd sell better than your shitty time form and your racing post guides.
I think so.
Speaking of which, Ben Akers out tomorrow night and is 15 to 8. So at Newcastle in the 7:55, and that usually starts the season quite well, and then it all goes downhill from there.
They've ruined that, haven't they?
Well, a nice horse at one point.
Yeah, but they don't campaign them right. That's the problem.
Indeed. Right. Well, that's a good bit of coverage for Friday. So let's move on to Saturday. We're going to do the 4 Newmarket races, kicking off with the 145, which we've already had a tip in from Lee and Nick. John, what do you make of this one?
I have a lot of respect for Lee's selection. I think Mar Thunder was in very poor hands last year and he's now in very good hands, and I think that's making a hell of a difference. However, I like on.
Oh, funny. John, it's funny you say that.
You've got the on, John.
That was number 4 on my list. So let me hear your case, because I think I'll agree with you.
It was dropped to a Marsupial 6 furlongs last time after tried stretching him out to a mile in the Lincoln. In the race race, dropped to 6. The first 2 dominated from the start, and he's held up. So basically, he had no chance. So on the bare face of it, he's going to look disappointing, but when you dig a bit deeper, it's excusable. When you think about what he was doing last year, he was tackling Groat Company at this distance, but he was rated 100 odd last year. Now he comes here off 94. I think a lot depends on how he's ridden, because another hold up ride, I think you'd probably see him aiming for something like the Wokingham.
You seen the jockey though? That was my
Yeah,
concern.
yeah, concern. You know, I mean, at the end of the day, they're all shit, aren't they?
John, get him back because fucking Jamie Spencer's on Hornsea Bay.
Well, he was on two of mine for fuck's sake.
Oh,
So
fucking
what
hell.
do I know? In all fairness, he gave
Yeah.
a very good front-running ride on a mate of mine's horse the other day, so he can do it. He just never fucking wants
And
to.
I just think a half decent ride here, and that has to be on the premises off 94.
Yeah.
He gave a very good view of Ailey Turner walking up his drive on CCTV.
Is that a metaphor?
No, I'm just stating a fact. There was a very good view of that.
There we go. More of a sermon job that, but
Yeah,
No, anything goes.
I agree with that one, John. That was my fourth best, so I shall certainly be having a few quid now that you agree with us. Okay, on to the 220, the Suffolk. We've had tips from myself and Nick Davis. So, Lee and John, what do you make of this one?
Well, I knew Davis were going to tip Sean because he's been harping on to me about it last run when it were a non-runner. So I knew that were coming. It's just fucking. It's 8-year-old, man. It's
The
like it's
thing
one
with
of them.
Sean for me is right. I might save on him given Nick's put him up because obviously I made the case there. However, crap on this soil, so it leads you to think I'm not looking to get sued by the Osborne family, but what's going on out in Maidan to make him run so well?
That's the good point, isn't it?
Mm.
Because have you noticed, right? We all laugh at Ozzy when he tries to train horses over here,
Very good out there quietly, isn't he?
but when he seems to go over there, they seem to catch fire. Funny that.
No, that'd be my concern, but I can see the angle for sure.
We did have two good runs last year off 106 and 108 behind El Najim, trying to give that £10 at Ascot. Parlando.
I'll be perfectly frank here, right? In my opinion, the guy that Osborne uses over there, that I don't know his first name, Avery's.
A.D. De Vries. South African, mate. Wat Biltong.
I would put him £5 to £7 better than Saffron.
Oh yeah, for sure. And the rest.
And that's the issue for me. She's only riding because it's nepotism, and that's that. They jock her up on Alt Racing League ones, don't they? Like that. That's when to follow Saffron in Racing League, when the jocks up on Alt Plots for some reason. I don't know how that works, but it does. My opinion on the race is nothing really. So I've nothing to add other than that Sean. I know what Nick's saying. I totally agree with the case, but I don't necessarily agree that Sean will show up.
Agreed. Right, the 255, the Palace House. Nick Davis, I've got a funny feeling that you might have one that you like in it.
Well, not the price now because it's gone, but I backed Washington Heights earlier in the week and I wrote out a thing to put it on Patreon at a big price, but
He's done the shops and the three-wheeler and the rest of us can fuck off.
He's knackered the service, basically.
No, come on, Lee, tell the truth. Within 20 minutes, it's gone.
They're on to you, Nick. You're a marked man in those shops, rightfully so.
But no, it was just I wrote it out, sent it to Lee. 20 minutes later, it gone.
Yeah.
Before the bulletin went out.
This is the truth. Yeah.
Yep.
Over Newmarket, I think the only ones beating it on the road in mile are Shackhill and Quinnell. Goes very well fresh. 2214, I think it is at Newmarket. They're going to campaign it at 5 furlongs this year, I feel. Which sometimes can get quicker with age. And just loves this place. I can't see any downside. It shouldn't have been 10 to 1 and 8 to 1. Not on the run with Beautiful Diamond at the Curragh. Obviously, Beautiful Diamond wasn't well drawn, but this is Washington Heights. It's first couple of runs of the season. It's usually good as well. So I'll give a nod to it. But if it goes back out to 7 or 8 to 1, I'd back it. But yeah, to me, it's going to run its race.
Yeah, and I guess before we get on to the Guinness, we'll touch on it now. What's everyone's opinions on sort of draw and such? Like near side rail at the Craven was a cheat code, so is that going to be the same again, or are we going to see more far side action?
Well, no,
or more middle.
It's different track. Different track. They used the one near the stand side. Yeah.
Silly me. Have we got any opinions on high or low?
Wind form don't play a part really. There's not much wind this weekend. like to start bouncing up and down and saying, "Oh, you
Yeah.
need this, I need that." That won't concern me in terms of bias. You could get a rail bias. It does happen at Newmarket. It could be either rail. Who knows? We've not monitored the watering. What I thought in the Palace House was that I do like Nick's choice. I do. It would have gone out on Patreon, but had the price held. Only problem I can see, and I never like just dismissing the bet on that, is there's a lot of pace on. I didn't get why is Beautiful Diamond 9-2, right, at top up market, and why is Rumstar 12-1 that thumped her last back end at Ascot?
Yeah.
I have absolutely no idea. And you can ignore the going because the Racing Post gave it out as soft, but time based, as Lydia says, to enter, was good ground. So
Yeah.
it was not soft, it was good. And so why is Rumstart 12? If Johnny Portman's thinking, look, I've got mine tuned up here, I might as well get mine tuned up from start. I'm not going to beat the big boys later in the year, so let's have mine ready. How is Rumstar 12-1 and Beautiful Diamond 9-2? Bizarre.
Yeah, concur with that. And I think, like you say, with the amount of pace on it, could suit one sort of coming off it. I quite like 7 questions as a type, but it's a bit of a bridle merchant, this one. I see it switched from John's favourite trainer George Scott to the sprint king Robert Cowles. So we'll see what comes of that one. But
Grievous error.
yeah, exactly. Exactly. On to the showpiece of Saturday, at least, the 2000 Guineas. We've had no opinions so far, so it's an open field. Who's got a strong one here, or have we not got one at all? I've got a very contrary opinion that I'll offer later on, but anyone strong on this at all? Or are we all fab?
Nice. I like opposing Craven winners, but I just think Field of Gold is it blew me away last time, and absolutely, I haven't seen anything else in the field that I'd want to be with. So it's obvious, and that's why I've not tipped it. But at the same time, if every box is ticked, then yeah, there we go.
It feels like a poor renewal to me generally. The fact we've got only 11 have turned up, and we've not got. I know City of Troy got beat, but we've not got a kind of a horse of that caliber who's kind of heavy odds on favourite to scare people off. It does feel a bit kind of meek. I think the 1000's a strong race, but this feels a bit soft. I'm going to give a bit of a shout just because if it wins, I'll feel like the god. Benevento, the complete rag of the field. I think John put a nice note on him after his Craven run, and I agreed. But I think he probably needed that run, and I think he'll relish the quicker ground. I can't see this being the rag of the field. You look at some of these in here. You got a Saeed runner with 2 starts. You've got Seagulls 11. I mean, that's not a good horse. This has got solid form. I think it won the Flying Scotsman last year at Doncaster.
Yes,
Yeah, it did. That's ran a satisfactory reappearance, beaten 4 lengths, probably not fit enough. And it's 100-1 compared to the 15-8 Fav. Now, I completely agree. I think the Fav's the right Fav. And you know what? I hope he goes and wins pretty well to make something of this race. But I could see this getting a decent ride and running into the frame personally. Plenty of juice in that price from an each way perspective, but I might be going mad, quite possibly. But there you are.
Is there much pace in this race?
Well, I think he'll be one of the pace angles, and for me that's a positive. He'll be up with it.
Wimbledon Argyle go forward one.
Mm.
Johnny, are you surprised that Aidan's not really sent his best for this?
It's whether his best available. I'm absolutely gutted at Aston Trot because I think he'd have had a right fucking chance against this lot.
He doesn't seem asked about this race to me anymore. It seems a trial for later down the line. It might be kind of not wanting to. It seems the Godolphin mob are more interested in kind of getting their horses ready first time up. But you've got to be negative on the and expanded for the fact that Lion in Winter was the showpiece over the winter. He's not running. Twain was the best thing they'd ever seen until 3 days ago, and now you're stuck with this lad. Like, I don't know how you could really back him personally.
The way though, Coolmore are really, really good, aren't they? Because look at Ruling Court if that wins, right?
Win either way, don't they? Yeah.
Yeah. Bagnier's got the truncheon out. Like if Ruling Court wins, because then it's plastered all over Coolmore's. Oh, another one for just a classic.
Plastered all over Magnus Settee as well.
It's one of them, really. Like I said, I think Field of Gold is, of course, the right favourite. We're not telling anyone anything different, but I agree with what's said. So
No, an open field doesn't feel vintage, but I'd love to see Field of Gold go and win and win well. But we shall of course see. Nick, did you have any view?
Not really, no.
Nah, he don't do
I
3-year-olds.
thought, yeah, no, but no, I thought straight after those silly odds after no one can get them. The 5-1 they put over straight after the Craven was
Needs a
actually
good
stupid.
winner
I
this
made-
race, doesn't it?
Does.
Yeah, it needs a good winner because it's looking like another season where we go yawn, like my article said on there.
It's becoming a
Another-
nothing race. This look, we're all racing nuts. I'm gonna ask the field and see how long it takes you to answer. Who won the Guineas 2 years ago? Took me a few minutes.
Jamaica?
No,
Oh, that was
Shall
4
we
years ago, wasn't it?
Chaldine.
Chaldean, sorry.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's the sort of scrap we've had the last few years. I think that says it
Yeah,
all.
shit.
yeah, but you're forgetting on this shirt we've got the biggest
Well-
two elephants that's going. Like fucking John and Nick can remember something from 1978 to fucking 19 like yesterday, right? And then you ask them what won 2 years ago, not a clue.
Yeah.
True. When it all became shit. No,
Yeah,
That's when it all
exactly.
went cloudy. Because it started failing capability tests and everything.
Right. Well, that's Saturday done and dusted. We'll move on to Sunday. The Pretty Polly. Mr. Keys has a big opinion here. I cannot go against him at all. John and Nick, Phillies listed races.
No,
Yuck.
That's not your kind of bag, is it?
no.
John, you're being a cunt here. 'Cause it's like still a wee bit on the leg, and he's listed class at least, and you've
Yeah.
no opinion on it. No, it's
No,
terrible.
I might have when
Yeah.
I see her, see if she's tightened up a bit over the winter.
For members, John, right after your snooker tip that went wrong, right?
No, it went wrong.
Who's going to win snooker?
Good Trump, I'm afraid.
I know it is, isn't it?
How's Ronnie got on today?
4 each when I left it.
Ronnie in a frame looks like the old Ronnie, and then the next frame he looks like.
He's had the best draw you could ever imagine.
And the young kid he's playing, he's really talented, but totally inexperienced.
Oh, it's a bit like the two Ronnies, eh?
Yeah. Yeah.
He wants the 8th, doesn't he? He wants to beat Stephen Hendry to the most won, but he's not going to do it because if he gets to the final playing like he is currently, Judd Trump will work him.
If you like the Chinese man, he's odds against in running, so to speak. So there you go.
The Chinese man has not got the safety. Ronnie was outplaying him on
He
the
has
safety.
to be odds against. Yeah.
Even though Ronnie's not potting like the old Ronnie's safety's still way better than that kid's. So that's how he's going to carve openings, and Ronnie will get through this and then get hammered by Trump in final. That's the opinion of bar stewards and John, who loves his snooker.
18-8.
You're getting it all here. Another Phillies race for us all to talk about now. The 220 Dahlia Stakes. We've got last year's Guineas winner El Malka reappearing here as the 2-1 fav. This is another race I have very little opinion on. I don't suppose anyone else does.
I suppose Running Lion makes the running. Can't see much else, but she's the last 3 times she's come to Newmarket, she's run crap, hasn't she?
Yeah, she seems to just bomb out and hates the course, I think. So I think
Don't
that's
like the
probably
dip.
one to take on. No, I agree with that.
Cinderella seems to need a bit further sometimes. El Marco's not going to get the pace, so none of them are going to win it.
Again, the books have got it sort of right. El Malka should the head of affairs, I think. A form last year, beating Porta Fortuna, and then obviously got beat by Porta Fortuna, and then 4th in
Solid,
the Nassau. Everything's really good. And
No
then,
score draws 2 points, isn't it?
do you really want a slowly run race and Imalka can't
No.
quicken off it? I don't know.
Yeah, no, I think that's one that we got enough on this weekend. I think we can do without a bet in the Dahlia Stakes, in fairness. What about this one then? The 255, 14 furlong Betfred Heritage Handicap.
Yes.
Nick Davis, John Lane. This feels a bit more your liking.
Well,
Right, this is very interesting. Contaxo brings. I'll be interested to see how it runs. It brings in the Master Builder form. Liam Swagger I backed last time out when Doyle got injured, and then it had a really, really wide trip. The Musselburgh film, Align the Stars and Wild Waves, ran no kind of races, but I have looked back. I mean, Wild Waves ran a terrible race first time out. I think it last year on easier ground.
I can give you a line on that, Nick, because I know so you got Contactor and Wild Waves both with our friend O'Sheen in the plate so far. So I don't know what one's getting declared, but apparently he had an awful prep. Like he travelled very poorly up to Mussey. He's a horse that is just very, very sketchy. They don't want to take him too far away from home. So
And what did he go to fucking Scotland
well,
for? There's
well,
always trouble when you go
they
to
didn't
Scotland.
know until then. So for me, you
Oh,
can
right.
completely stripe that because, as you say, like well back favourite ran 0 race. So if he did
But you had
turn
a
up
line
here,
the stars had done the same. Have done the same. You couldn't get to the lead from outside draw.
yeah, but that's a Johnston horse. I mean, I
Yeah,
can
yeah.
fuck off. Like if Wild Waves turns up here, I think I would be with him. But the fact that Balding's got the Fav in as well probably means that that's turning up. I'm guessing.
I mean, they've got Rosser Ryan on Artistic Star, which must be the last chance saloon. They're trying fucking even further. One for the Gutters, a brilliantly consistent horse, and 1 mile 6 on a fast surface is, I mean, it's finished third in an Ebor, going like the winner about 2 out, if you watch it back. These handicaps up the hill for first time out. Knightswood was quite well, and Canaras obviously won that race. But that was a nice little race. I think Wild Waves would be if it did turn up, but it's not going to be 10-1 if Contacto comes out, is it?
Very true. Lee John, any views?
I'm going to give Artistic Star a push.
Good old autistic star.
Yeah.
He ran well in a derby once upon a time. Makes you feel old now.
He did. Will Ralph have got this right?
No, Rafe.
This is Rafe doing, not
Is
Ralph.
Rafe
Rafe
trained?
taken over from Ralph.
I would say with the Rafe Ralph team as a general, I think they're turning a bit of a corner. I'd heard sort of a week and a half, 2 weeks ago that they'd done absolutely nothing on the grass. So that's why he had kind of nothing at Greenham Meeting, nothing at Craven. But there's an upturn in form there. So I think he could be on for a decent weekend by all accounts.
Rafe Ralph, right?
Mm.
Didn't work them on the grass till sort of
Yeah,
like
a week
early to
ago.
mid-April. Yeah,
Mm.
yeah. He's like very late with them on the
Mm.
grass. So maybe the Rafe Ralph team he's one to follow. One in this I thought was Blinded by the Lights. There's one piece of form that looks quite useful. And if you go back to 9th of September 2023, he's probably had problems. So I'm guessing whether he's right for this reappearance. But he split Nakib and Denmark. Lordship was 5th. That's strong form. And he's unexposed over staying trips. They've never tried him at that much over 14 furlongs plus, but then you'd need info on his well-being. He's had a long time off. He might end up 40s or he might end up 6-1. We don't. So that's my only thoughts on that.
I can certainly see that indeed, Lee. Close us off then. The 335, the 1,000 Guinness. We've had a bet in here from Lee. I'm blogger here. I've been backing Desert Flower for the majority of this winter and stand to either win or most likely lose a lot of money. So I'm going to completely stay out of this one. And,
If you've got the prices, Jack, do you want
no,
to share what prices you've got?
oh, nobody wants to hear that, Lee, do they?
Chris Boulders.
Patrick Weaver does.
Oh, Weaver, yeah, my new best mate. He's tagging me in every single. Well, to be fair, this is a bit of a Weaver comment. I mean, he is chief after timer these days. But yeah,
Come on, what have you had, you young whippersnapper? You
about
come
an
on.
average of 11-4, I would say, for a
Ooh.
considerable sum. So
27% for a 50% chance.
yes,
Yeah.
but I heard bloggers say yesterday that he's all over it and has done the same. So that means I'll be hitting the pink button on Sunday morning, to be honest. But that's me at the moment. I'm
Where's the post job on?
oh,
We might be doing a round 2.
look, I know work's work, but she did put in a very nice piece of work before Craven that I saw. I'm interested to hear John's view here because he had sort of temperament thoughts on her, and obviously we might not see till Sunday, but you're a bit negative on her, John. I feel.
She keeps proving me wrong, but I still think she's got the potential to be a little bit of a snot box.
Guess it's a case of what, like Lake Victoria, we all know she's had a bit of a rotten prep, and she feels very kind of opera singer to me from last year. Like comes here kind of 75, 80, peaks at the coronation. You know, that's probably more her race. Red Letter, I completely get Lee's case there. I think she'll overturn that form. But outside of that, this is scrap. You know, I could be looking at a listed race here.
And then last year you've got the curse of Grr, haven't you?
Gurr's record that I've highlighted a few times is absolutely abysmal in England. I
And
think
you wouldn't
he's
believe it because he's a good trainer.
well, that's it. You get these generic stock kind of racing TV. Oh, and Gurr sends one to England. I think he's won from 38 or something last decade. Like,
John, do you think he makes a walk there? Like in the old days?
Makes him fucking swim, can't be asked with ferry.
It must be something. It must be
Walks her into the sea off the beach and says, keep going.
I think the fact he's been bullied into sending this here would be a positive for the horse, in my opinion, because
Yes.
Well, yeah.
he wouldn't do that. Duty first. I think that Newbury trial was rubbish, so I couldn't have that. I don't think it will stay a mile.
I think this 1,000 guineas, a little bit of an alarm call to like what we're going to end up with going as like our next crop of road mares.
Yeah, it racing has problems.
There's some of
Yeah,
these
well-
going to be some right fuckers and throwing some right stock.
Huge has put up a once raced Dusty horse that's 33 to 1. It won a Kempton Maiden in August. I mean, you know, that
Right.
should be 3,000 really, shouldn't it? Like
You never know. That's done what's it, a Morge?
sun on the back. Yeah.
Sun on the back, and that's the reason. She's wintered beautifully. She's had sun on her back. She's blossomed when it's really had about 4 kilos of cobalt.
Yeah. If John says fuck me, that thing looks like it's on roids. I'll probably have a few quid on Sunday on that one.
Well, it's interesting. She did start 4 to 6 for debut.
Yeah.
They knew she'd win on debut, so it's one of them. And Nick's seen this many a time, and I know he has. Dusty Bin Sarot in Royal Ascot Handicaps, Nick.
Oh,
yeah.
He's mustard. I mean,
real. What was it called? Real dream, real story.
Yeah, something
Hunt
like it.
up all the way. Oh, yeah.
He won Thurskunk Cup with Far.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, 10 stone 13 it carried, didn't it?
Yeah.
What's are Ballydor going to run bedtime story?
Probably.
maybe. I mean, she won that Chesham, didn't she? And then didn't complete a race for the rest
I
of the
thought
season.
she got the worst ride Ryan Moore ever give to a horse in Ballydor in the Moyglaire stud.
Ooh.
When he rushed her up into her pace when she got beaten by Lake Victoria and finished lame.
Yeah, I agree.
If someone had told you after the Chesham that this would be at the post and it would be a longer price than it was then, I think it was about 7-2 after the Chesham for the Guineas, wasn't it?
Well, if Nick Davis is betting a 3-year-old filly, I think we should all take note, in my opinion.
Possibly.
She's only had good to firm once in her life, hasn't she?
No, look, a very open set of classics for us this weekend. But I hope hopefully, we brought you a few winners. A lot of diverse courses here. Bit of Musselburgh, bit of Goodwood, bit of Newmarket. It's been an excellent show to record. Thank you very much for listening, and have an excellent bank holiday weekend.